Hello guys, welcome back to OA.Studios, and in today's session we'll be discussing the project knot and true knot concept in Revit. Okay, so from the last session we aligned our building, the plan views we had and the site view. We did some alignment to them based on the project knot and true knot, and this video is to more or less explain and give a clearer illustration of what the project knot and true knot is and how it's being used. Alright, so we'll go straight to it. Now, the project knot and true knot. So Revit has two knot orientations for every Revit project, and like we said, one is the project knot, one is the true knot. The project knot is usually based on the predominant building axis, meaning it's basically the knot you see on your floor plan views, right? So it affects the views and how their views are being sketched. So for instance, this is a ground floor plan view, right? And so I want this view to always look like this and not sideways and not upside down, because when I'm presenting this on a sheet, I want the viewers to appreciate it from this view, okay, or from this angle, right? So the project knot is straight. The project knot might be this way, for instance. Okay, so this is the way I want this view to be on my sheets. All right. So, but for the true knot is usually the real world knot direction based on the actual site conditions you have. Okay, so on default, if you come to site view, in short, on default, all views are set. The orientation is set to project knot for all views when you start a fresh Revit project, or you can change it like we did in the last time to true knot depending on the view you have and what you want to show on that view. Now, for site views, most times you leave them on true knot, okay, and the true knot, like I said, is based on the real world knot direction from the site conditions. So for instance, if we have a site survey, right, and let's imagine this is the way our site is positioned from our site survey. All right, let's say this is the access road, right? But on the site survey, the north arrow is this way. Okay, now if we were to position a building in this plot, because this is the main entrance, usually the main the face of the building would be at this point. Okay, usually this would be the main entrance. So on the site plan, you want your north arrow to be facing straight, best practice. Okay, the north arrow faces straight. But when you go to other views like your floor plans, when you're presenting your floor plans on your sheets and all, you don't want it to look this way, because those going through the plan won't readily appreciate it when it's slant. You want a situation where your floor plan remains straight like this, but on the site plan view it's actually slant like this because of the north arrow position. So that's majorly where the difference between true knot and project knot comes in. The project knot helps you keep your orientation of your floor plan views straight or in whatever direction you want it to be, while having a different orientation on your site plan views. Okay, so those are basically the major differences between both. Okay, and so you can rotate anyone, whether the project knot or the true knot, to suit whatever you have. So on default, they are both straight, but when you get your survey plan, you can now determine which one you want to rotate. Do you want to rotate your true knot, or do you want to rotate your project knot? That happens when you get your survey. Okay, so we'll use this as an example. Okay, and let's say our site survey gave us this plot looking like this. All right, and so this is the building we want to have inside. So let us put a property line around this building by sketch, and let's just say this is a property. Okay, this is the property. Now on the floor plan, this is good, so our project knot should remain intact like this because we want our building to look like this. But on the site plan, if this is our building, so what I would do, I would just group this so that I can easily manipulate the movements. So suppose if this site was to be straight this way, this would be where the north arrow would face. So we can see the north arrow would be in this direction if the plot was to be straight. Or rather, let me align the wall to this. Okay, if the plot was to be this way on our site plan, you see the north arrow is going in a slanted position. But what we want is for the north arrow to be straight and on the side view. So to do that, like we did the last time, you come to manage tab, you have this project location panel, and under it you have tools to rotate whether the project or the true knot, and you can relocate projects, you can rotate true knots, mirror project knot, rotate project knot. All right, so but what we want to do here is to rotate the true knot. Okay, because for now it's straight, but we want to get it for now it's, let's say for now it's this way, I want to get it straight. So what we can do, we come here and we say rotate true knot. But first of all, make sure on the particular view true knot is selected. That's the only way it applies to that view, when it's true knot selected. I come to positions, rotate true knot. I would place this, use this to select the axis I want to rotate from. Now since this is straight, I want to take this to be straight, but it's slanting, so I will use this knot arrow as a reference. So when I choose place, I'm able to select or put my axis where I want it to be. So I'll place the axis here and pick this, and then I'll rotate this to angle 90. It snaps automatically, so and I'll pick this. So from that we can see that the north arrow is now straight, but the building is now in a slant orientation. But if I go back to my floor plan, it remains straight because this is set on project knot. And if I change this to true knot, you see that it takes the shape or the orientation of the true knot like we had on the site. So this way on my floor plans I can have a straight orientation, on my site plan I can have a different orientation altogether. Okay, so this is how you rotate the true knot. Rather, if you want to rotate the project knot, let's try that. if it's the project knot you want to rotate, so let's say you want this floor plan to be in a horizontal direction, so more like you're having the floor plan this way, and this end becomes this end. So to do that, once again, make sure this is set to project knot, and we come here, see rotate. So if you choose mirror, it just flips it, think 180 degrees. All right, so to the north, north to south, east to west, north east to south. It's depending on what you want. You just select that. So, and it flips the orientation for you. Okay, so we see that now this is upside down. So if the orientation you want is just a direct opposite of what's already existing, you can choose whichever default one that's already there. All right, but let's say we want this, or want to use the other tool. Maybe we don't have it exactly like this. I'll just go to rotate project knot, and remember this, so you can rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise depending. But let's say, so if I do 90 clockwise, you see that it takes the shape once, so it takes it clockwise by 90 degrees. Okay, and I click OK, and I have that there, but it doesn't affect my site. But if I change this to project knot, this one takes that orientation. So it's basically just however you want to play with it, but the idea is to understand how it works. And then the last tool, this one, align selected line or plane. All right, so like I explained the last time, if your project knot is supposed to be, let's say, at an angle, right, what this tool does is it aligns a particular side or a reference edge to either the horizontal or the vertical side or vertical axis, whichever is closer. Okay, so let's say this is our crosshair. Let me so let's say we want to align this portion. Okay, or we want to take this portion to, well, we can't, because this is it's already at angle 90 with the horizontal axis. It's already aligned with the horizontal axis. So suppose this was kind of slant in a way. Okay, let me use something else. Let me just take, for example, this was our wall, right, for example, and we wanted this wall to be straight this way. Okay, so what Revit, or what that tool we do is, now between this end and this end we have 45 degrees, and between this end and this end is 45, so it's actually equal. So let's see which end it would go to. Align, let's pick this edge. Okay, so it took this edge to the horizontal axis, so we see that this edge is straight. So but let me Control Z. So for instance, if this was this way, Now we see that it's 50 degrees away from the horizontal but 40 from the vertical. If I did the same thing, it's with the same tool, it's going to pick or align this wall to the vertical because it's closer to it. The distance between the vertical and this is 40 degrees, so it takes this wall to this position. Okay, so that's basically how the tool works: project note and true note. Remember, the project note is based on your building axis, how you want your building to appear on your sheets, and it's usually straight. Okay, and however you place your floor plans on your sheets, align your project note in that way. But for your true note, it deals with the real world knot direction based on the site conditions. So whatever your site survey says, then you can rotate your site view based on those or that information and have your knot arrow um, in a vertical direction, while your your building takes whatever orientation um, it gives. So you can have two different orientations for two different views. Okay, so I hope this helps. I hope the explanation was clearer, and if you have any questions, do well to drop in the comments, and I'll do my very best to um, respond. Okay, so thank you all for joining me for this session, and in the next video we'll be continuing our series for our Revit modeling. In the meantime, keep learning by doing. Bye. Hello guys. Okay, so just to add also to what we just learned, to know when should you use which, whether it's to rotate the true knot or rotate the project knot, when and how do you know? So basically, when you start a fresh project, like we mentioned, the knot arrows are for all the true knot and the project knot are in the vertical direction. That's the knot is facing up for both views, site and the floor plan views. All right, so but when you get your survey plan, you now have to look at the survey plan, and that will determine which one you are going to rotate. You don't have to rotate both of them, it has to be one or the other. I think that's based on the survey plan you get. So when you get your survey plan, if the survey plan, the knot arrow is upwards and you have your site boundaries, you have the site in a slant direction or a slant orientation, then it means you are going to have to rotate your project knot, because by the time you plot the site in Revit using the property line tool, it's almost all the time going to take the same orientation that's on the survey plan. And if it takes that same orientation, it means your knot is still upwards, and so at that point in time your site view or project knot alignment is correct. But when you now translate that to your plan views, the orientation of your plans might be different, and so in that case the project knot would need adjustment to get the plan views to be straight, okay, or looking upwards. But if you get a survey plan and the knot arrow is not facing upwards, the knot arrow is in a maybe slant direction, depending on how the surveyor positions it, and the orientation of the side is not straight and it's also slanting, then in that situation you might have to rotate both the project and the true north. And after plotting it in Revit, usually to take the same orientation, then you kind of import your survey plan into Revit, try and get the alignment of the original north direction given from the survey, and then like we did in the video in rotating your true north, you take that rotation and then make the north arrow straight. And after you've done that and gotten the true north direction accurate, then you can rotate the one for the project north. Okay, so I just thought to add this as a to help you understand when you should use what. All right, so it's basically 2 or 3 scenarios. Okay, and I hope this helps. Thank you all for joining me, and see you in the next video. Bye.